poor girl to millionaire, "If I make your son walk, will you give me food?" He laughs, and the boy walks. The clatter of fine cutlery and soft hum of conversation filled the cobblestone street where the wealthy came to dine. At one of the outdoor tables, a sharply dressed man in a maroon suit sat across from his only son. The boy, no more than 6 years old, sat quietly in a wheelchair, his small hands gripping the armrests as though he feared slipping away from the world itself. "Come on, Nathan," the man said gently, pushing a plate closer. "Just a few bites. For me?" Nathan's big blue eyes flickered up at his father, then drifted back down. He didn't touch the food. The man tried to smile, but his jaw clenched as he glanced at his son's thin legs, legs that had never known the joy of running or even standing. He had spent millions on doctors, therapists, and experimental treatments. 30 specialists across 5 countries had told him the same thing: "Your son may never walk." But he couldn't accept that. He wouldn't. The man lifted his wineglass, his fingers trembling slightly. He wasn't trembling from the cold, but from a gnawing fear. Fear that all his money, all his power, couldn't fix the one thing that mattered most. As his mind spiraled in frustration, he didn't notice the small shadow creeping closer. "Sir?" The voice was so soft it barely rose above the street noise. The man turned, startled to see a frail little girl standing beside them. She couldn't have been older than Nathan, but unlike his boy, she wasn't dressed in fine clothes. Her hoodie was torn, her face smudged with dirt, and her braids were tied with frayed bits of string. Her eyes locked on the plate of pasta in front of Nathan. Hunger radiated from her, and her lips trembled as she spoke again. "Sir, if I make your son walk, will you give me food?" The man stared at her in disbelief. For a moment, silence hung thick in the air. Then his lips curled into a bitter laugh, sharp and cold. "You?" he scoffed. "You're filthy, starving, and you think you can make my boy walk? Doctors with decades of experience have failed." Nathan flinched at the sound of his father's voice, but the girl didn't move. She stood her ground, barefoot on the cold stones. "I can do it," she whispered. "Just let me try, please." The man's laughter drew the attention of nearby diners. He gestured at his son. "This boy has the best care money can buy. Do you think some beggar child on the street has the answer?" But Nathan's small voice broke through the tension. "Dad?" The man stopped short. "Let her try." "What?" Nathan looked up, his eyes glistening. "Please, I just want to try." The man's shoulders sagged. He didn't know if it was the wine or exhaustion, but something in his son's voice broke through the wall he had built around his heart. With a heavy sigh, he waved his hand. "Fine, go ahead and fail." The girl's face softened with gratitude. She stepped closer to Nathan and knelt by his wheelchair. Her hands trembled as she reached out. "Can I touch your legs?" she asked. Nathan nodded. Her fingers were warm against his cold knees. "Close your eyes," she whispered, "and listen to me." The boy obeyed. "You're stronger than you think," she said softly. "Your legs are not weak. They're sleeping. Let's wake them up together." Nathan's small hands gripped the armrests tighter. His brows furrowed. "Push down with your feet," she urged. "Just a little." The man crossed his arms, watching with a mix of pity and annoyance. What a waste of time. But then, "Dad," Nathan gasped. The man's eyes widened. The boy's toes twitched. Nathan's toes twitched again. This time, his father saw it clearly. The man froze, his glass slipping from his hand and shattering on the cobblestones. Did you see that?" he whispered hoarsely. The girl nodded, her eyes fixed on Nathan's legs. "He's listening. His body wants to move, but his mind is scared. We need to tell him it's okay." The father blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of it. How? How is this possible? "Son," he said, his voice trembling, "it's okay. You're safe. Try again." Nathan's brows furrowed as he pressed down with his feet. A faint shiver ran through his calves. "I can't," Nathan whimpered. "It hurts." "You can," the girl said gently. "I know it hurts, but that pain is your body waking up. It's not bad. It's power." The man knelt beside her, staring at the strange child with disbelief. "How do you know all this? You're just a little girl." "I'm not just a little girl," she said quietly. "I used to help my brother." "Your brother?" She nodded, her eyes distant for a moment. "He was hurt in an accident. The doctor said he wouldn't walk again. But an old woman in our village taught me how to wake up his legs. We massaged the muscles, moved his joints, whispered to his spirit. It took months, but he stood." The man's chest tightened. He didn't believe in miracles, not really, but here was something happening right in front of him. "Sir, can you lift him?" the girl asked. He hesitated, then slid his arms under Nathan's small body and lifted him from the chair. "Hold him steady," she instructed. "Let his feet touch the ground." Nathan's legs wobbled as they touched the cold stone street. The boy gripped his father's shirt tightly, terrified. "I can't do it," Nathan cried. "I'll fall." "Yes, you can," the girl whispered. She placed her small, dirt-streaked hands on his knees. "Your legs remember. They've just been sleeping too long. Tell them to wake up." "Wake up," Nathan said faintly. "Say it louder." "Wake up. Louder. Wake up." And then, as if his body heard the command, Nathan's legs stiffened. His feet pressed against the stone, shaky but firm. The man felt his son's weight shift. For the first time in his life, Nathan wasn't dangling helplessly in his arms. He was standing. "You're doing it," the girl whispered. "You're standing." Nathan gasped. His small lips trembled. "Daddy, I'm standing." Tears blurred the man's vision. He fell to his knees, wrapping his arms around his son. "You're standing," he choked out. "You're really standing." The girl stepped back quietly, watching the scene unfold. How did you know to do this?" the man asked again, looking at her as if seeing her for the first time. She shrugged, wiping a tear from her cheek. "Someone helped my brother when no one else would. I just wanted to do the same." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of cash. "Here, take it. Take all of it." But the girl shook her head. "I didn't do it for money. I just wanted some food." The man stared at her, speechless. Then he looked at Nathan, who was still trembling but standing on his own 2 feet. "Do you have parents?" he asked gently. The girl's eyes darkened. "Not anymore. I lost them all in the flood. Even it took my brother away. Then come with us." Her lips parted in surprise. "Please," the man said. "You saved my son's life. Let me save yours." Nathan looked up, still clinging to his father's shirt. "Can she stay with us, Dad?" The man smiled through his tears. "Yes, son. She can stay as long as she wants." That night, the 3 of them sat around a table in a warm, brightly lit kitchen. Nathan held a spoon in one hand, his legs dangling from a chair instead of a wheelchair. The girl sat across from him, her face clean and glowing. "You're like my sister now," Nathan said softly. The girl smiled for the first time. and you're like my brother." The man watched them, his heart full for the first time in years. In that moment, he realized something. He had thought his millions could buy anything. But it took a poor, broken girl to give him the one thing he truly needed, hope. And in her quiet strength, he found something even more valuable than hope: family. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.